Right Side News, bringing you the right news for the right side. I'm Jim Hoel, and I am your voice. Thank you. Welcome to a special weekend edition of the Hoel Report. Breaking news, this just in, right off the wire. This is coming from WikiLeaks. Breaking. Ecuador's government has refused Julian Assange lawyers, UK lawyer Julian Assange and Spanish lawyer Aitor Martínez, access to him this weekend, although the embassy is manned 24/7, to prepare for his U.S. court hearing on Tuesday. Getting further into that, the protection action against Julian Assange. On March 28, 2018, the government of Ecuador imposed a unilateral incommunication on Julian Assange. Mr. Assange's ability to communicate with the outside world was blocked both physically by the embassy and by foreign ministry authorities for 7 months. 3 signal jammers were installed by the embassy, blocking all phone and Wi-Fi signals. All visits other than legal visits were refused by the embassy, including meetings requested by major human rights organizations and members of the UK Parliament. For the last few months, Mr. Assange's lawyers have requested that the government provide the administrative or legal process to remove these restrictive measures in order to challenge their legality before the courts. The government refused to provide information that would allow him to challenge the measures before a court. Ecuador's president told the Associated Press, if Mr. Assange promises to stop emitting opinions on the politics of friendly nations such as Spain or the United States, then we would have no problem letting him go back online. So basically what they're doing is they're telling Julian Assange that he can't have opinions. And not only that, he can't express them either. That if he has an opinion on Spain or the United States, that they're not going to let, they're taking away his internet and all access to communications to the outside world. So that's what's going on here, folks. We have a man who is now being silent. Every effort is being made to silence this guy. Here we go. On October 12th, the embassy delivered a protocol with explicit threats to revoke Mr. Assange's asylum. They threatened to revoke his asylum completely if any of his guests or him breached or were perceived to have breached any of these 28 rules in the protocol, rules that provide that the embassy can seize any of Mr. Assange's property, turn it over to the UK authorities, and report it to any authorities they want. And not only him, but any of his guests. They can take away other people's property. The protocol also forbids Assange from doing journalism and expressing his opinions under the threat of losing his asylum. So they're basically threatening him with the. Basically, they're threatening to take away his freedoms if this man does any journalism or speaks his mind. They're threatening to throw him out of the embassy, revoke his asylum, if Julian Assange goes on and makes a report about anything. I mean, it'd be like me doing this, sitting here, and somebody walking in and throwing me out of my house. It makes no sense at all. I don't know when Julian Assange became probably the most powerful man in the world, but to go to the lengths to not only silence him but threaten him with incarceration and detainment if he even opens his mouth. I mean, it's like never been seen or heard before. The protocol also in the sixth context of a strong supportive ruling by the InterAmerican Court on Human Rights, setting Ecuador's obligations in relation to Mr. Assange, which was announced amidst reports in the Sunday Times that the UK and Ecuador were reaching a high-level agreement to breach Julian Assange's asylum by handing him over to the United Kingdom police to be arrested. So basically, they're going to extreme lengths, the likes of which I've never seen, to silence a man who is held up in an Ecuadorian embassy in London, and who apparently these people think is in fact, it says it right here. They believe that Julian Assange is a threat to global security. Global security, not national security, global. They think that Julian Assange poses a global threat to the world. Is this man, I mean, did he suddenly become, the communist Joseph Stalin? I mean, it says it right here that they believe Julian Assange poses a global threat to the world. I mean, I don't know when Julian Assange, donned a cape and became Superman, or maybe he's from Krypton, but, they're treating this guy worse than a terrorist. They're treating him like he's the most dangerous man that ever walked the face of the earth, going to extreme lengths to silence him. So Ecuador recently secured, okay, here we go. So after their little scheme to hand him over to the UK police to be arrested, Ecuador recently secured $1.1 billion, that's billion folks, $1.1 billion in loans. The U.S. representative told the IMF to tell Ecuador in late 2017 that the loans were conditional. These loans were conditional on Ecuador resolving the Assange and Chevron matters. Throughout the summer, pressure from the U.S. lawmakers mounted on Ecuador to hand over Assange to the United Kingdom. In June, President Moreno met with Vice President Mike Pence. Moreno denied Assange had been discussed. However, the White House, on the other hand, stated that the VP raised the issue of Mr. Assange in a constructive conversation. Ahead of Mike Pence's visit, we had let me see this here. We had 10 United States senators, both sides, urging the Vice President to pressure President Monroe to hand over Assange ahead of the midterms. Now, I don't know what Julian Assange had to do with any of our midterms. I don't believe any pertinent information was released in the run-up to the midterms or during the midterms, but regardless, it was the pressure was put on him to remove Julian Assange before the midterms. So, when you talk about really being terrified of a man, and this goes to a theory I've had for a long time, the protocol and the forced arbitrary incommunication imposed on Mr. Assange, in an action measured before a court in Quito on 25th to 29th of October 2018. It was ruled that the protocol is a flagrant violation of the Inter-American Court's decision and pretexts the protocol rules human rights. I mean, they're taking away this guy's human rights. All because it's very, very obvious that they're terrified of this man. And I have my own opinions why. When Jim Comey reopened the Clinton email investigation for the second time, Everybody wondered why the hell did he do that. Everybody thought, why the hell are you doing that? The Democrat, Republicans, I was shocked. I was elated, but shocked. But after a while, you start thinking, I now believe that there was a reason behind that. And I believe the reason is that Jim Comey had no idea what Julian Assange had. You know, in my mind, he was thinking, Jesus, if something was uncovered and Comey panicked and said, if somebody sent this to Julian and he releases this, we're all fucked. And I believe that. I firmly believe that. I believe that's what happened. Otherwise, why do it? I mean, you know, everyone was working with Hillary Clinton. It was obvious that she was pissed about that, but, you know, Comey was trying to cover his own ass. And in the event that something like that were released, they could just throw her under the bus. But I strongly believe that that's the reason why. That Jim Comey freaked out because something was uncovered, and he thought that if Assange got a hold of this and he releases it, we're all fucked. That's just my opinion. I don't know if it's truth, but it's my opinion. So we have Julian Assange being arbitrarily detained, threatened to be kicked out of the embassy, his asylum revoked, all because he's preparing for, apparently he's going to testify in the United States court hearing on Tuesday. And further detail, the hearing is on Tuesday in the National Security Court Complex in Alexandria, Virginia, and is to remove the secrecy order on the U.S. charges against him. So we're going to see how that goes. But that was some pretty breaking news for this Saturday morning. Anyway, for the Right Side Network, I'm Jim Hoel. I am your voice. And keep fighting. Julian, if you're out there, we're with you, brother. Have a good day.